Hi, good morning, I guess, from a good evening. Makeda Waterman, it is absolutely fabulous to have you join one of my crucial COVID conversations. Thank you very much. How are you today?
I'm feeling good. Good evening to you, Belinda. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We were just talking off camera that you are actually dialing in from one of the most beautiful places in Canada, Edmonton, in the winter, not when it gets slushy and all sorts of interesting. So you guys had snow yesterday, right? It must be so pretty.
Yeah, we actually started off with a pretty warm winter. We usually get snow here October or I'd say the second week of December. But we didn't really
Ah,
get snow until probably January, the last week of
wow.
January.
Yeah,
And
that's late.
our weather was much better than Toronto. Toronto got all the snow. We just got this light, fluffy stuff that melts after a week or two. So we got pretty lucky.
Another good reason to be in Alberta, right?
Exactly.
Oh wow, what an awesome opportunity. And it's just amazing to be on the one side of the world and being able to connect with somebody on the other side of the world and have this platform where people can connect and share positivity, inspiration. And that's exactly what hopefully we'll be well, I know we'll be doing it because I've got you on the other side. I have to just really do a quick intro and just tell our listeners how we kind of met. Although this is the first time we're actually chatting in person, but I feel like I know Makeda for such a long time already. I mean, she's been this absolute positive force of nature, of positivity and vibrance. And I think you are beautifully shaking up LinkedIn and keeping us all inspired. And you're so much fun. And this is how I got to know you. I met you on LinkedIn and just found you to be, especially during the COVID-19 crisis. And this is exactly what we are talking about. We're trying to really find those amazing souls that just have this ability to despite all the things that's happening around, stay focused and positive, and more so, help motivate other people to stay in the same state of mind, and yet you're still diversifying your business through this crisis. And that's fantastic. I do a bit of COVID-19 consulting as well, and part of what I do is really helping people diversify and looking at transferable skills. What do businesses do? How do they look at other things and other ideas? And here you are, the best example of all of that. You are diversifying through this crisis. So I'm going to do a little tiny blurb of your bio, but I'm going to want you to tell this yourself because I don't think I could do it justice. I mean, you are clearly not your average branding, marketing, or writing professional. I mean, you just shake things up because of who you are, and your brand is you. You are so powerful. And I think this whole thing about personal branding, I mean, you just personify that for me. So you're a marketing consultant, a blogger, you do copyright work, you're a technical writer. Um, I love your business journey as well. It's very inspiring to hear how you started and where you are now, 4 years later. I like to call you the queen of personal branding because I think that's who you are. You are
Oh,
fun, engaging. I mean, you just have a very special way of bringing messages across, and I'm sure that shines through in the work that you do with your clients as well. But you as a person is just you energize others and you motivate us to not just do our branding and our marketing with your help, but just in general to be better people. So I love that. I love your tips that you share always and the positivity that just shines from you. So tell me a bit more about what I've missed, but also about, who you are and, what gets you out of bed every day.
absolutely. And thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm actually originally from Mississauga, Ontario. It's a suburb outside of Toronto.
I know
Uh,
exactly where that is. That's scary.
oh, oh,
I
wow,
do.
that's a beautiful thing. And I was working in banking for about 6 years at TD Canada Trust. Beautiful company to work for, but I
Yeah.
just wasn't feeling like I was living with purpose. So I took a chance. After I got a promotion and the contract ended, I left the banking industry, and I was in a 6 month hiatus of looking for a job in marketing or communications and branding. And it was tough. I went on 50 different interviews in Toronto. Nothing seemed to stick. And my dad was like, well, Western Canada is advantageous at this time. You've got some friends and family in Alberta. You can go to Regina, Winnipeg, and any of these kind of smaller places. Why don't you just give it a try? So I started sending out my resume
Wow.
to British Columbia and Alberta. And for whatever reason, these two provinces really stuck to me. I just moved in a whim, and within a week, I got a job at my first marketing job in Edmonton, and it just all worked out from there.
All right. I mean, thank you, Dad. Hey,
Yeah,
he probably had vision and foresight.
he did. He's a very wise man.
Don't they always know the best, right?
They do.
Oh, wow. What a story. Yeah, you just packed up and moved literally. And for those of you that don't know how big Canada really is, I mean, it's days driving from the one side to the other. You just
That's
packed
right.
up and just went, right? Wow. Okay, that's fabulous. And what inspired, I mean, we'll get to COVID and we'll get to all those little tidbits that I'm sure you're going to share. But I mean, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed every day pre-COVID?
That's a great question. I really think like everything I do, it touches people in some kind of way. If I'm
Mm,
working with a company that services businesses, I feel like whatever it is I write, whatever it is I consult, it's going to lift the company up from point A to point C, hopefully. And if it's the company that offers products and services to consumers, it's going to add some kind of value to their life. So when I wake up, I literally have this mission statement and I say, today I'm going to share the best message. Today I'm going to educate, entertain, and inspire. Today I'm going to attract people, places, and things that are on my frequency and energy. And I that's really what keeps me up. I almost feel like this pandemic, it is scary to a lot of people, but I've been
yeah.
embracing it and just trying to sit in it and embrace all the negativity and the positivity, and just I've been finding my voice through this chaotic time in
Yeah.
society. Yeah.
Wow. Beautifully said. And let's just touch on one or two things that you've said, because it's interesting. I was chatting to somebody earlier today, and as I started to, and we've done, I mean, maybe 20 of these crucial COVID conversations already. And it's interesting, the people that either pick me or I pick them, or the stars aligned, they all had, and it just struck me this morning for the first time during the crucial COVID conversations, they all had, whether it's a specific, DNA or a specific outlook on life. And you've just said that, because you wake up every morning and you envision your purpose and why. And that is a common trend for people that, I don't mean success, not that you aren't, of course you are, but I don't mean this successful in a monetary way, but I mean the successful people that are able to find resilience and pushback and positivity during this crisis are really the people that have those characteristics and that find internal motivation and then projects that into the world. And that's exactly what you said. Isn't that true? Hey?
Looks like my screen was pausing there for a minute, but it's back. Awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, no, we are on the opposite side of the world. Yeah, so no, I was just talking about those specific characteristics that you share with so many other people that found positivity and purpose during this COVID-19 crisis. And another thing, Makeda, that I also want to just quickly touch on that you've just beautifully explained is, um, you know, there is good and bad, and we want to acknowledge that it's a health crisis. We know it's an economic crisis. We know it's a human right crisis. It's a social crisis. But what you've also really highlighted, which is something that I feel very passionate about, is it is also a mental health and wellness crisis. And in the way you've described it, looking after yourself and filling your cup is so important, because what can you do? How can you be the best you can be for your clients, and if you don't have that energy and motivation within, right?
Right. I absolutely agree. I think the first couple of months last year, it was a little bit confining. At first, I was like, okay, this is exciting. I can spend more time indoors. Naturally, I'm an introvert, but then after about 2 or 3
What?
months.
I
Oh
was
yeah.
like, what? Can you just rewind and say that again?
Oh yeah. I'm an
Seriously.
introvert at heart. Yeah, in my personal life I am.
Wow,
And
that's
so,
fabulous. A queen of
yeah, and
personal branding. I rest my case.
and yeah, I was just like, what can I do? I know I'm introverted. I'm kind of embracing this moment, although I feel moments of isolation, but what can I do for
Mm.
the people that need to hear from someone who has a vision or someone who can help small businesses at this time? And I just did this Instagram live marathon, I think for 3 or 4 months last from the spring to the end of summer. And I just was going live Monday through Friday for an hour a day, even on days when I just didn't feel like connecting, just answering
Oof.
questions with small business owners on Instagram. And I even was going live on TikTok 4 times a week, just talking to kids about how to find your passion, talking to people about how to freelance if you're out of work, just anything that I could do. It was just,
Wow.
it was almost like it was a priority, or like it was a importance for me to do that, because
Mm.
I could have, uh, I could have been in some kind of a personal shell just with my friends and family and surviving and keeping up. But I was like, what can I do online to keep people in a positive space?
Wow, I didn't know that piece. And I mean, I have goosebumps as you were explaining that, because your vision at that time was very, very close to what we're trying to do now. It's just continuing to, because this virus, it's lingering. It's not really going anywhere, I mean, it's changing and the dynamics is changing, but it's still here. I know, for us, I mean, I own two small businesses in the Solomons. I mean, one of them is probably gone forever, but you know, it's only now this year that we realize, I don't even know when the borders will open up for us in the South Pacific, and it's now that it just comes back again. And this type of conversations, it's crucial, it's critical, it has to go on. We need to continue to create this platform where people can talk about the stuff that came out, where we can find motivation. And also very important that you've said, and it's interesting because you and my journey last year was kind of the same, because I also started the consulting piece. Obviously, I own a dive operation and I'm an instructor certified for diving. And I also have a industrial psychology and human resources hat. So I had to then sit down and think, okay, well, how can I use the other skills that I have, exactly like you? How can I use these other skills and actually try and make a difference and help small businesses? For me, it was in the South Pacific to weather this COVID-19 storm. And it's beautiful what you have done, and I feel it's so inspiring, and it's essential for those small businesses to get help, from you that's got great expertise in certain areas, and more so the positivity and the help to see the vision and the bigger picture, because people lose that when you're in the middle of it, right?
I absolutely agree. Yeah, I have all kinds of friends and family. Some, a few are single, but most of them are married, and they're even feeling isolated with a spouse and a kid at home. And I'm very blessed though, because in my city they open up their restaurants a week before Valentine's Day, and the gyms are open up. But
Oh,
if it's like Taekwondo or something like that, adults have to go one-on-one sessions, and then the kids can be in groups, but it's still isolating at the same time. So um, yeah, I think this is going to stay around for up until the end of the year. Some are
yeah,
even saying until 2024, but not as crazy as it is now. So
yeah,
we just have to embrace it and try to wait to pivot mentally, emotionally, or with
yeah.
our career or with our business. That's the most that we can do. So
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for sharing as well the environment that you're in, because it's interesting. Every time I speak to somebody, and again, I've been so blessed to have people from all over the world, literally from Costa Rica to the Solomons to the UK to, Cape Town, Canada, and it's interesting because everybody shares a little bit of a little bit of their story and their location and their city and their town. And it keeps on going on, it lingers. And sometimes we don't even realize that there are so many parts of the world that is completely in lockdown still. We're still in lockdown level 3 in South Africa. And it's actually heartbreaking, but we have to start focusing, and as we do, and you're a best example of that, focusing on the positive and see how we can kind of pivot those negative energy into something positive, and find inspiration and also share that, right? So
right.
this is the million-dollar question. You know, if I had to ask you, Makeda, what did you learn from 2020? What would that be? Where would you even start, right? The year that we don't want to talk about.
That's a really good question. I learned the importance of realizing that certain things happen and you just have to let it sit. If a client doesn't want to work with you, it wasn't meant to be. Maybe your time or your employees' time should be spent with other clients. If let's see, if somebody asks you to do something and it's totally unexpected, do you have time to help them? Do you have time to go over there and sit with them for several hours because they're sad? Do you have time to talk on the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody's going through a personal crisis? I also learned that this year has been a year of enlightening, I think. And I think a lot of things people were kind of putting in the back burner, they were forced to do last year, whether it was starting a business or freelancing or spending more time with their children or their wife. Like, I feel like this whole period is really eye-opening for people to really sit back and realize, where have I been neglecting? What areas in my life have I not been focusing on? And what can I do now? Other things I learned too is social media is powerful. I mean, I can't believe how many local business owners I've identified on Instagram because of this pandemic, and how the few events that I went to last year, people recognize me because I'm constantly on their timeline. And
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's very shocking when I go somewhere and I don't recognize anybody in the room and someone's like, "Are you Makeda? Are you on LinkedIn?" I'm like, "Sorry, I don't know you." It's like, okay, hi.
Oh no, come on, we know you. We know you so well. Come on, we're your friends.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. And I also realized the importance of just staying quiet. Like, I think a lot of people at first, and I think some people now are still trying to struggle with that lack of human touch. And there's nothing wrong with just sitting quiet. And I know this is a long time to sit quiet for a lot of extroverts and people, but when you sit quiet, like, whatever God you believe in, whatever spirituality you choose, something is going to speak to you and it's going to tell you something, and act on it now. Now that everything's shut down and we have an excuse to buy online courses or spend more time on the Zoom chats with family we haven't seen, let that vision or that voice tell you to do something and do it, because it might be the best thing that could have ever happened to you past year or so.
Wow. Okay, I love that. I want to just pause there, like we do now during COVID, because you've actually introduced something that we have not talked yet about during our crucial COVID conversations, and that is, and I love that because you bring such an interesting perspective, and I want to unpack it a little bit more. I want to learn more about that, because you talk about being silent and just let it sit. You know, I love that. I'm gonna steal that because I think it's really powerful. I am personally not very good at it because clearly I'm not the introverted type, you know. But regardless, I hear you. You know, I'm also into yoga, meditation, and finding that that space where you can reflect and you can be quiet. So how do we? I mean, how do you envision this? I mean, is it you talked about spirituality and whatever works for you? I mean, how do you do it? Is it that you find time every day to do introspection and just be quiet and let you be guided by whatever feelings and thoughts you have? Is it a conscious decision, or it just flow? I mean, share with us some tips in terms of how you got to be able to embrace it enough to be able to verbalize it on this platform. It's excellent. I love it.
Absolutely. Well, every morning I meditate for 10 minutes.
Okay.
I've been also doing this program that I actually had to pay for, called the Life Book, and it talks about different chapters of your life. You're literally writing out your life and how you want it to be, a purpose, a vision, and a strategy on how you're going to achieve it. So every day I read at least one chapter of what I've written. And on Saturdays and Sundays, I open up the window and I just kind of sit there and I stare through the window versus staring through a television or a computer. And I've never done this before in my life. And thanks to quarantine, I just sit there and I watch the sun go up. And if I don't have time to do it, I I just sit and I let everything just come in. And I think it's a lot of the stuff that I've been learning on live streams too, is just allowing yourself to love all parts of yourself, the insecurities, the anger, the sadness, the happiness, and all the mix of feelings. Because I think that schools, they don't teach us this. They don't teach us. They teach you that you have to be happy. You have to feel good. You have to have it all together. But the truth is you can still have everything you want and still feel sad, still feel isolated and lonely, whether we're in pandemic or not. And quite often, the issue that I had prior to quarantine is rejecting these feelings, or feeling like, why am I feeling that? That's not good to feel like that. No, it's a part of, just let the feeling pass through you. And that's the most powerful thing that you can do. But it takes time. It takes time to get to that place.
Yeah, I mean, and oh, you speak such truth, and it's great to actually have it, you know, just brought to the forefront and brought to attention, because it is a shift, it's a change, you know. And let's just talk a little bit about, you know, the other side of you mentioned earlier, and I just want to link it to what we're just talking about, this shift and this change. I mean, you mentioned earlier, Makeda, how it really gave you the time to connect with friends and family, and it brought those things that's really important to the forefront. And as you know, from many of my other crucial COVID conversations, I do thank COVID, and I'm not being disrespectful for the hardship, but I do thank COVID, because it gave us time for great pause, and it also gave us permission to bring to the forefront and create a platform for some of these subjects and topics that should have been talked about years ago. Whether it's diversity, whether it's equity, whether it's conservation, whether it's global warming, climate change, whether it is mental health and well-being, whether it's sitting still and letting, you know, being kind, communicating, you know, putting things on the table and starting to talk about it. I mean, through that great pause, and only because of COVID, were we able now to start having more these conversations. I mean, if you look at social media, and you're right, social media is so powerful, we suddenly see so many more people speaking up about, you know, their ethnicity, or about their position on climate change and why people should listen. And it's beautiful, because for so long, people didn't feel comfortable sharing and talking about it, you know, and now suddenly the platform is here, and it's so great that we can talk about it. So you're right. I mean, it's not just in that context, but it's also in the context of so many topics that has never been talked about, and that should have been talked about, is now actually okay to converse about. Hey, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's a new day. I think
yes.
I think really what happened was I think the world just, you have a lot of time to reflect. So I was even surprised too when I'm not a big fan of celebrities as I was when I was younger, but I was surprised when some of the biggest celebrities said they were depressed last year. And I asked myself, these people have houses across North America. They can go anywhere they want right now. Why are they depressed? Because they're sitting in their silence, right? And I think when the world started sitting in their silence, plus, you know, people were losing their jobs and the government was shutting everything down, I think people were just like, enough is enough. I have to speak out. I have to create a platform. I have to say something. And even if some of the voices go unheard, it's just this shift. I think they're calling it now the age of Aquarius, where people are kind of enlightening themselves and they're finding their true spirit, and they're questioning certain things in society that they say we're supposed to do. I think it's just the beginning of more of this to come. And the next generation's either fearless, so they're probably speaking louder than everybody else right now, because this is their first kind of recession experience. Right?
Yeah. Wow. Okay, it's super powerful what you're saying, and I thank you for sharing that, because I always find people know so many more different things about different stuff, and that people bring it to the platform, and I'm learning, and I'm, you know, feeding off that energy and those new insights. And, you know, the mind is a funny thing. Once it's been stretched to a new idea or a point of view or a different opinion, you know, you can never go back to who or what you've been before. And if you do, shame on you, you know. I mean, you gotta you gotta grow and expand and learn about these things. Yeah, that's really interesting. So With that in mind, I mean, what do you look forward to? I mean, what do you think 2020, and we're already in March and I can't believe it, but what do you think, and what do you think is going to happen this year? What do you look forward to? You know, what gives you motivation? What helps you see that vision for 2021?
I'm really looking forward to traveling. I was hoping to uh, go and visit family in certain places, but I just want to keep it safe and stay silent until the restrictions are completely open and the pandemic disappears. I think I'm just looking forward to going to networking events and going into
Ah,
restaurants because I've gone to some of the restaurants now that are open here, but it's still kind of quiet. You see families and couples together, but it's not the hustle and bustle that I'm used to seeing. So I'm just used to, would just want to go downtown once all of this is done and just be
mm,
among people and see, is this going to be
mm,
50% back to normal and 50% pandemic? Because I think a part of this is going to stick
yeah.
in all societies, but just to be in a room full of people
Mm.
would feel good again, I think.
How interesting is that? And then this leads perfectly into the next kind of topic or discussion point or question, because, you know, we are really unpacking the value of people and partnerships and your what you look forward to or what you need as an individual. And it's actually, with due respect, it's quite a simple thing. We took it for granted all our lives to have that buzz, and that, even for an introvert, right, to have that buzz and that and that beautiful vibe of people and partnerships, and the networking events, and all of those things are, we took it for granted and it was just always there. And now we are craving that, and we are really envisioning having that. And it's such a beautiful thing. And I think it's interesting that you brought it, and it's good that you've brought it to the forefront, because it is again so different to what some of our other crucial COVID conversation participants have said in terms of their vision. So I love your, that's what makes you so special and unique, because you think about things differently. And I love that. I mean, I want to then now pick your brain a bit more about thinking differently and unique, and you're such a vibrant person. I mean, people all over the world literally found, and I also chat to a lot of people, and it's like, oh, did you see this amazing lady, and how she's just putting herself out there, and how she's just sharing these tips, and people really, I mean, I found your tips so useful, and I actually always take a screenshot and then I go later on,
Oh,
like, okay, so how do I, how can I do that in terms of my social media and in my branding and everything else? So I know you may not know, but you do inspire a lot of people, and your tips are spot on, and it's useful, and you help, not, I mean, you just not diversified yourself, obviously, but your business, and you keep on helping people tackle those challenging issues, whether it's marketing, blogging, and branding and social media during the COVID-19 crisis. I want to, because TikTok for me is also very new, and I considered myself being well versed in social media, but I'm clearly not. And I am just in awe when I just see your vibrance on. So tell me, what do you think has, because TikTok has exploded during COVID-19. It's one of those things that direct reason, so how did you get to start embracing this new platform, and give us some tips, how do we get onto that bandwagon, how do we get some of that juice?
absolutely. I felt very hesitant. I signed up around this time last year on the Explorer, the For You page. All I kept seeing were dancers and models. I said, why am I here? And so I stopped posting for about 2 months. So the last week of February to about April. And I started to see chiropractors and dentists and professors and lawyers. And I'm like, okay, there is a place for me here. So I just started telling myself I'm pretty good at a couple of things. I could talk about small business, marketing, branding, and social media. And business didn't really stick, but the rest of the topics did. And I still felt like I wasn't using it the way I was supposed to until probably the last 6 months. And now what I do is I just jump on trends. If there's a trending song, I check to see what kind of internet challenge people are doing. If it doesn't apply to me, I try to apply it to my business. I try to make it fun and exciting. I've been transferring over some of those videos onto Instagram, and I find that those are the most highly engaged posts where people are leaving comments and sending
Yeah.
me DMs and stuff. And same feedback you're giving. People are just like, I always look forward to seeing what you're sharing. You're always so happy, and you're teaching me, but you have a smile on my face, and it makes me feel
Mm.
like I want to learn more. And yeah, it takes a while with TikTok, but you'll find your groove. I just say do what makes you feel happy, share what you know, or share your journey, and eventually the followers and everything else will come about your success on the platform.
Wow. And that's, I mean, I love your stuff. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I mean, I don't have the courage yet, but maybe after this I will. But what you just said is quite amazing, because it's ultimately, and this is again some of those topics that come up during some of the other crucial COVID conversations that you're just reaffirming. It's be who you are, take what your strengths are, and be passionate about what you know, and then putting it out there, right? It's just owning your space almost, right?
I absolutely agree. It took some time. I think I'm starting to feel like I know some of the people that I follow, and when I have a video that does really well, it's super exciting because I start getting comments from all groups of people, different age groups, and sometimes it can be overwhelming, especially if it's a post where I start seeing thousands of comments, which comes up once in a blue moon these days.
Wow.
But I'm all about just reading them and seeing what people are saying, and that really helps me to know what to share the next time. And although I'm not there for virality, I'm not there to create trending videos. I kind of find the informative stuff about the trends that are happening on the platform and things people need to know is what really makes people feel excited. And then I put some of those personal moments in there where I just start talking about music I like and food I like to eat, and the
Yeah.
fact that I'm an introvert. And I think that surprises people too. So I think a
Yeah,
mix of your
exactly.
expertise with a little bit of your personality definitely helps.
Yeah, and again, it's that perfect balance, which I think you absolutely get right. And in my opinion, I mean, you get it right because it's this concoction of facts and tips and professionalism, and then there's a little bit about who you are, and then there's this vibrant fun, and putting yourself out there. And I absolutely love that. And I think that's what makes you super, super unique and so very special. I mean, literally your passion is infectious, and it's changing the way people see. And I mean, marketing and blogging and these things are not, by no means is it boring, but you bring in a new layer to it that it's like, this is actually really fun. And I mean, this is completely sidebar question, but it just made me think. I mean, you're not just with the stuff you do on TikTok, but just because of who you are. I mean, there must be a super cool young audience, and a lot of young followers that I mean, you have this beautiful opportunity to inspire so many people, just maybe not even going into just the whole social media, but also just into proper marketing and branding and advertising and stuff. I mean, is that true? Do you see a lot of younger people connecting, or it doesn't even matter, different strokes and different folks and everything?
That's a good question. The type of audience that has been attracted, I'd have to say people that just started their business due to COVID. I've had people in tech that have been in business for 10 plus years. I've had consultants that are now realizing social media actually is as powerful as they never thought it was because of the pandemic. I have students that just recently on Instagram, I had just a random student message me and say, I have a project to do and my professor wants me to interview someone in marketing. Can I help you? And I felt a bit uncomfortable because I was like, this person doesn't follow me, but they just randomly saw a TikTok video on Instagram. So I have to reply to her and tell her if I'll be able to help her.
You see how inspiring you are. You don't even know your reach, man. It's
Yeah.
also.
And sometimes it's just, Generation Z, like teenagers who are just in their bedroom painting pictures and they follow me and they like and they comment and I'm like, and they jump on my lives. I remember the other day, I just started cooking in my kitchen on TikTok because it's a casual platform.
Yeah.
And some kids were like, "Can you do French fries?" And I'm just like, "Well, I came here to talk business and cook, but okay." And it's interesting. It's really interesting to hear people
Oh,
and
that is
what they're thinking.
awesome.
Very nice. Yeah.
Do you find and I'll end up with some tips for that you can share with us for 2021, and you can keep it business or personal, whatever you want to share. But do you find that you are, I'm sure you do, but just wanted to hear you give us your angle on it. But do you find your content is changing, obviously to the market, but also because of the fact that whether you like celebrities or not, or whether you are into that, you are becoming an influencer, and you are already surpassing so many other influencers in terms of what you say and what you do. Do you find that that's perhaps a little bit scary, but also fun? Do you find you change your content for that? I mean, are you more aware of that now, or do you still just let it flow as it comes out?
Yeah, that's a good question. On TikTok, I'm very conscientious because even though I think they're supposed to be 16, I think some of those kids are like 5 and 10. They should not be there. So I try not to pick the songs that have like really destructive content in it. So I'm
Yeah,
conscious of that.
yeah, good
Um,
point.
and then on other platforms with adults, like I just try to think of the comments that I've read and the feedback, the questions I get even on live streams. And I'm really focused on people's concerns and what matters to them. And I think I've just become that. I feel like I'm a servant when I'm
Mm.
online versus just there for the aesthetics, you know, the likes and the comments. It's not about me.
Mm.
It can never be about me. And people can feel that when people are there.
Authenticity. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so every platform has different audiences. I just try to be as respectful as I can. If I put a post out there, like the other day, I put a post about this lady called the vegan teacher who was banned on TikTok, and a lot of the comments were actually negative. So I ignored those. But if somebody had like a neutral comment, I'd
Mm.
reply or ask them, why do you say that? So I'm just very
Mm. Mm.
conscientious of getting caught up in negativity online. And I'm just
Mm.
like, before I film this video, how can I serve my audience? That's the only thing I'm thinking about, really. Yeah.
That is one of the most beautiful things that I've heard in terms of people thinking and consciously thinking about how they can serve and how they're using social media to do that. I love that. I hope that there are people that's listening to this, because I think more of us should think about this, and more of us should have that mentality or frame of mind. And this is exactly what we're doing. I mean, we are to use your beautiful word, trying to serve, and we are trying to help and trying to assist people to find hope and inspiration or ideas or tips to be able to weather this COVID-19 storm. Thank you for that. I mean, thank you for the work that you do, because I mean, it can be a different space altogether, but you are using it for the good, for the greater good, for humanity and everything and everybody around during this crisis. So thank you for that. I just wanted to acknowledge that. Um, any other tips you want to share with us? Whether it's social media, personal, whatever, just some tips, and then we'll wrap it up. I know it's it's late. Well, it's actually not that late, but it's Sunday. You want to go and do other stuff as well.
Sure, absolutely. Anything that you're good at, share it with the world, even if you're not trying to be an influencer, or maybe you have a job and it's secure, or you're retired, or you have a business and you don't need to make money off of your message. Share it with the world. Like, I think lives in so many ways than you haven't expected. And no matter what it is that you're sharing, to it with good intentions. Try not to be distracted by the trolling comments or the people that are going to challenge you. That's a part of the experience. It's not personal. They're challenging your message. They're not challenging you. But just give online, give more than what you expect to receive, and so much good things will come out of it. And I think for me, the most important thing is just that comment that I get before just getting customers and clients, just those comments like, I started using this tip and this advice, and it expanded my business in this way. And that's just the free stuff that I'm giving online. Stuff like that really sets my soul on fire and just makes me feel like I have to show up every day and stay committed to the process.
Wow. So that's actually using that is what motivates you to stay positive and focused and that energy. It is true, because we actually are all in this together. If it's one thing that we have realized through this COVID crisis is it doesn't matter where you are, how much money you have, if you have a job or not, if you're by yourself or you have your family around you, we are all, for once in the history of this world, going through the exact same invisible enemy, and we have each other, and that's all. And I mean, yeah, beautifully said. Okay, well, I mean, I feel like I can talk to you forever. There's so much energy, and it's such an amazing vibe that you said, but I want to be respectful of your time. So I'm going to just maybe wrap up, and I'm going to ask you, where do we get some of who you are? Where do we find that inspiration? I mean, where can people find you? Is there any cause or anything that we can do to help and support you to continue to be this amazing voice and continue to serve? Help us. Where can we find you? What can we do?
Absolutely. Well, I'm on TikTok and Instagram at YEG Marketer, YEG. I'm on LinkedIn at Makeda Waterman, Twitter at YEG Writer. And yeah, I go live on Instagrams every Monday at 5 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time. And I'm just starting to randomly go live on TikTok on Saturday and Mondays. So yeah, feel free to connect anytime.
Yeah, that's where we can find tips on how to make some proper French fries, right?
Yes, that too.
Oh, I'm just kidding. I mean, you are absolutely inspiring. You are a force of nature. You're amazing. I am so happy that we've met. I'm so happy that we've had this crucial COVID conversation. Continue to be the voice and continue to serve. I am your biggest fan. And I'm sure we'll be connected and we'll stay in touch. And from my side, thank you so much for joining me for one of my crucial COVID conversations.
I appreciate your time, Belinda, and it feels good to stay connected. And I look forward to seeing your content as well on LinkedIn.
Absolutely. Follow the crucial COVID conversations. There's some interesting ones coming up. Obviously, this one as well. Thank you. Hey, keep well.
You're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.